I couldn't fucking stand up to that woman. I could today. I could now. With distance and space and clarity, I could now.
Introducing Private Internet Access, the world's most transparent VPN provider. With over 30 million downloads, they've become the go-to solution for streaming enthusiasts and anyone looking to protect their privacy. Here's some incredible news. By using the link provided, you can enjoy an exclusive 83% discount on private internet access for just $2.03 a month. You can unlock a world of entertainment. And as a bonus, they'll give you 4 extra months completely free. Private internet access is available on all major platforms. Stream your favorite content on your preferred device. Your one subscription is capable of protecting an unlimited amount of devices at the same time. The VPN works seamlessly with all major streaming services, unlocking a world of content no matter where you are. And yes, they support peer-to-peer file sharing. Private internet access prioritizes your privacy. They never record or store user data, and their no logs policy has been proven multiple times in court and verified by a third-party audit from Deloitte. By using private internet access, you can hide your IP address and encrypt your internet connection. Say goodbye to prying eyes. Have commitment issues? Don't. Signing up for private internet access is risk-free. They offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, and their dedicated 24/7 customer service team is always ready to assist you. Link for this amazing offer in the description below. Now let's get back to the video. Confirmation bias refers to the tendencies of individuals to interpret or recall information in a way that confirms their pre-existing beliefs, while disregarding or downplaying contradictory evidence. It is a cognitive bias that can influence the way people perceive, process, and interpret information, leading to skewed and selective thinking. Confirmation bias often emerges when individuals have a particular mindset, expectation, or hypothesis about a specific topic or situation. Once they hold the belief or assumption, they actively seek out information or experiences that support it, while unconsciously dismissing or ignoring information that contradicts it. This biased approach can reinforce and strengthen their initial beliefs, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of confirmation. There are several mechanisms that contribute to confirmation bias. Selective exposure occurs when individuals actively seek out sources or information that align with their existing beliefs, avoiding sources that challenge or present alternative perspectives. Interpretation bias occurs when individuals interpret ambiguous information in a way that supports their preconceived notions. Memory bias affects the recall and retention of information, as individuals may remember instances that support their beliefs and conveniently forget contradictory evidence. Confirmation bias can have significant implications in various domains, including personal beliefs, decision-making processes, and interpersonal conflicts. It can hinder critical thinking, impair judgment, and limit one's ability to consider alternative viewpoints. Additionally, confirmation bias can lead to echo chambers, where individuals surround themselves with like-minded people or information sources that reinforce their existing beliefs, further exacerbating the bias. By cultivating intellectual humility and actively seeking out disconfirming information, individuals can mitigate the impact of confirmation bias and foster a more balanced and objective understanding. In today's case, we're going to look at Michael and Kristine Barnett. They are loving parents to 3 young boys that live in Indiana. Their oldest son is diagnosed with autism at the age of 2 years old. He stopped talking and would not make eye contact anymore. By 3 years old, Michael and Kristine noticed that he enjoys math. He quickly became a child prodigy. It's said that Kristine Barnett's son, Jacob, has an IQ higher than Einstein's, a photographic memory, and he taught himself calculus in 2 weeks. At 9, he started working on the original theory in astrophysics that experts believe may have someday put him in line for a Nobel Prize, and at age 12, he became a paid researcher in quantum physics. He's in the 5th grade and has enrolled in college courses. Kristine's son was aired on 60 Minutes, and he explained how his mind works. His reactions to the questions are intriguing in that everything seems obvious to him, while for the average person, it is impressive.
Just exactly what is the 4th dimension?
It's hard to describe in terms of the typical 3 because it's tangent to all the other ones. I'd be able to describe it if I had like a whiteboard and like 30 minutes to describe it. It takes a while. It's the fourth dimension. What do you expect?
It's pretty shocking when an 8-year-old aces a university astronomy course. Weren't you impressed?
I guess I was impressed. I was just doing what I like to do.
Because so many people like me and millions of others are scared of math, are scared of science, correct?
Yeah.
Why is that so funny? Well, you almost can't understand how anyone could be.
Exactly, yeah.
Kristine's son is on a track to graduate college at the age of 14. She writes a memoir about her role as a genius's mother and how every child has a spark of interest that drives them. The book's description reads, quote, "The spark is about the power of love and courage in the face of overwhelming obstacles, and the dazzling possibilities that can occur when we learn how to tap the true potential that lies within every child and in all of us." This book may seem random to mention, however, Kristine's quote is important to reflect on as the story unravels, as it will seem her view on children that may have to overcome obstacles like a disability is only applicable to her when her son is a famous genius. Kristine and Michael decide it is time to adopt a little girl. They are set to adopt a child, however, at the last minute the adoption was canceled. So now they are waiting for another child to come along that will be the perfect fit for their family. Michael receives a call out of the blue that there is a young girl that is ready to be adopted. The agency does not give them any more information about the child.
Out of nowhere, we got a phone call from an adoption agency in Florida. They had reached out to us and they said, "Hey, we've got the perfect child for you. We've researched you. We know all about you. We think you should adopt this girl, Natalia." At first, I didn't think that was strange, but obviously looking back, you shouldn't be getting cold called. You shouldn't be getting a phone call out of nowhere from somebody trying to send the child to you. So when we got that phone call, it was Thursday, April 22nd, 2010, they simply said, "Hey, it's a closed adoption. We're not going to give you any information about the child. We're not going to give you any information about the former family. Here's all we're going to give you. Here's 2 pictures. Here's a Ukrainian language birth certificate. And here's 1 doctor visit from 2 years before. You have 24 hours to tell us whether or not you want to adopt her. If you don't adopt her within 24 hours, we're sending her directly to foster care."
Michael and Kristine and their boys are on their way to meet the little girl that will change their lives forever. They pile into a small room and are introduced to Natalia. Natalia is a 6-year-old from Ukraine that has been diagnosed with this bone growth disorder, a rare form of dwarfism. As Natalia enters the small cramped room, she says, "Mommy and Daddy," in a cheerful tone. Michael's face reveals his confusion and discomfort. This excited reaction and the mom and dad labels given so quickly are not what he expected of a young orphan that has moved to a new country and has bounced between homes. A child having experienced what Natalia has, with multiple failed family placements, would typically be guarded. Yet Natalia seems to adapt quickly to the Barnett family, raising Michael's curiosity, especially as she shows no trace of a Ukrainian accent. Take note that at this point, Michael's recollections might be subject to potential exaggeration. According to his account, Natalia supposedly came running into the room, although considering her condition, it seems unlikely that she would have had the physical capability to do so. It is not necessarily suggesting deliberate falsehood on Michael's part, but rather a tendency to dramatize his storytelling. While seemingly insignificant, this observation provides valuable insight into Michael's potential inclination to embellish further narratives and his perception of reality.
We were sitting in a little itty-bitty office room in a strip mall, and next thing you know, the door opens, and Natalia comes running in, smiling ear to ear, saying, "Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy." She was just given up for adoption by her old family 5 minutes before that. We should have recognized that there's no 6-year-old on the planet that would be happy in this situation and immediately start referring to Kristine and myself as Mommy and Daddy. We only were in the room with her for 5 minutes to meet her, and after those 5 minutes, the adoption agency pulled Kristine and I out of the room. We went and signed paperwork, and the next thing you know, Natalia was ours.
It isn't long before the adoption papers are finalized and Natalia officially becomes a Barnett. One evening, as Kristine helps Natalia with her bath, she observes an anomaly, Calling Michael in, she points to Natalia, revealing physical development consistent with a teenager rather than a 6-year-old. They're left bewildered by this startling incongruity, but choose to set their confusion aside for the moment, focusing instead on integrating Natalia into their family life, showering her with the love and warmth she has seemingly lacked for so long. However, their new normal is soon disrupted by unsettling behaviors exhibited by Natalia. She displays a depth of knowledge that is beyond her supposed age, and some of her actions prove not only perplexing, but also disturbing and potentially dangerous. The family grows increasingly anxious and bewildered, struggling to comprehend the unfolding situation. The puzzle deepens when Michael discovers Natalia attempting to conceal her menstruation, realizing that a 6-year-old should not be experiencing, let alone have passed puberty. The family's concerns escalate, yet they persevere in their attempts to parent Natalia. When a Ukrainian friend visits the Barnett household, they hope the encounter will offer Natalia some comfort. However, when Natalia fails to respond to the friend's Ukrainian conversation, exhibiting neither comprehension nor familiarity with her alleged native language, and with no trace of an accent, their doubts amplify. Despite these oddities, the Barnetts remain determined to assimilate Natalia into their family. That resolve, however, is severely tested when they discover Natalia's journal entries, outlining her intention to harm Kristine and her sons. They are startled awake on several occasions to find Natalia looming over them in the darkness, clutching a kitchen knife while they're sleeping. Michael recalls these chilling moments with a shudder, remembering the fear Natalia's projected harm induced in the family. And this, as he puts it, is only the beginning. We will hear Michael recount moments that he felt scared of Natalia and the harm she sought to inflict on the family.
A date with another girl with the exact same kind of dwarfism that Natalia had, and supposedly at the exact same age. You knew immediately these two people were nowhere near the same level of maturity. And then when the Ukrainian woman began speaking to Natalia in what was supposed to be her native language, which Natalia has never had an accent her entire life, she got very angry and very upset and began to lash out. The first steps were smaller. She would put thumbtacks face up on our stairs, so when we would walk up and down stairs, we would be stepping on thumbtacks. Certain things would start to become missing in the home. We would find knives under her bed.
One fateful day, as Natalia is tidying up the kitchen, she notices Kristine's untouched mug on the counter. With a sly glance towards the full coffee mug, Natalia sprays it with pine sol, intending to poison Kristine and remove her permanently from the family. Her attempt fails, as Kristine catches her in the act, escalating her fear for her own safety. On a family outing to a local park, Natalia seizes an opportunity. They're walking close to an electric fence when Natalia, with alarming intent, pushes Kristine towards the charged boundary. Her ploy falls flat as Kristine remains unharmed but terrified. Next, Natalia targets her brothers. She cunningly employs their favorite toys to lure them into danger. As they cross a bustling street, she throws the toys into the flow of traffic. The boys instinctively rush to retrieve their beloved possessions, narrowly avoiding being hit by oncoming cars.
She began to attempt to harm my sons in a very serious manner. My wife, Kristine, would take the entire family, my 3 sons, along with Natalia, downtown to university. My oldest son was attending university at a young age, so the entire family went. And as they would be crossing a street, Natalia had already found something that meant something very important to each of my boys. My youngest son, who was 6, was into cows, so she found his favorite cow toy. My 9-year-old son liked cars, so she found his favorite car toys. And my 11-year-old son was attending university, so she had gotten his homework out of his backpack. As they would be crossing a very, very busy street, she would make sure that the boys were paying attention, and she would launch everything up into the air, into traffic. Now, Holly, to you and I, if something important to us is going in the traffic, we simply know, oh, that's gone. I'm not going to have that anymore. But to a 6-year-old boy, a 9-year-old boy, an 11-year-old boy, that's the most important things in their lives. Yeah. All they know is they are losing it, and they must run after it immediately, and they would instantly run into traffic to try to retrieve their items.
Finding.
Immediately thereafter, Natalia would simply tell us very coldly and very directly, I'm trying to kill the boys.
As fears escalate and confusion about Natalia's age intensifies, Kristine and Michael seek medical professionals' help. They're told Natalia is not a child, but a fully grown woman, a revelation that leaves them feeling deceived and shaken. The trust they had in their adopted daughter is shattered. In response to the unsettling evidence, they make the difficult decision to legally alter Natalia's age. They petition the court to change her birth date from September 4th, 2003 to September 4th, 1989, shifting her legal age from 8 to 22. Natalia subsequently moved into her own apartment, and the Barnetts refocused their attention on their other children's needs. The family decides to make a significant move to Canada, leaving Natalia behind. They ensure her rent is covered for a year, but Natalia is left alone in an average-sized home, not suited for her dwarfism. Nevertheless, Natalia manages to live alone for another year until the neighbors grow suspicious. Upon being questioned about her age, she responds with 22, as instructed by Kristine following the change in her legal age. Unconvinced by her hesitant answer and youthful appearance, the neighbors eventually adopt Natalia after assisting her with daily chores for some time. Meanwhile, Kristine and Michael Barnett find themselves in the midst of a media storm as allegations of abandonment rise. They defend their actions, asserting that their decisions were made with the best interests of all of their children at heart, including Natalia. Now, let's delve into this from Natalia's perspective. Natalia, navigating her new life, grows conscious of her differences, not just physically but emotionally as well. Her past experiences have aged her, sometimes causing a mismatch between her actions and assumed age. The shift in her adoptive parents' attitude unsettles her. Soon she's subjected to a battery of medical tests that lead to a shocking conclusion. She's not a child, but an adult. Her life is thrown into chaos as she's moved out and left to live independently. When her story hits the media, she becomes the center of a sensational narrative. Despite it all, Natalia persists in upholding her truth, portraying herself as a child wrongfully abandoned. The saga continues to unfold, leaving more questions than answers. Let's explore the conflicting narratives presented by Natalia and her adoptive parents. From Michael and Kristine's perspective, they recall numerous instances where Natalia acted in threatening manners towards them and their sons. They claim that Natalia attempted to physically harm them on multiple occasions, and even resorted to watching them as they slept while holding a knife. These behaviors left Michael and Kristine feeling fearful for their safety and the safety of their children. They firmly believe that Natalia posed a genuine threat to them. However, Natalia denies these accusations, laughing at the very idea that she could be considered a threat. From her perspective, none of the alleged incidents of threatening behavior ever occurred. She asserts that Michael and Kristine are fabricating these claims against her. Prior to being adopted by the Barnetts, Natalia resided with a family that had other children. During this period, it was alleged that Natalia was involved in an incident resulting in another child's broken arm. Natalia, however, contended that the event was a mere mishap that occurred while she was engaging in wrestling with the child. It is important to note that when Natalia recounts the incident, she displays unease, likely stemming from the discomfort she experienced during the interaction with her brother at that time. This discomfort is evident in the subtle change to a higher pitched tone as she reflects on the wrestling. It is worth mentioning that Natalia referred to her parent as mom during that period. It is understandable for a child to yearn for parental figures and embrace them once found. However, when considering Michael's account of Natalia immediately addressing him as daddy upon their first meeting, it highlights a behavioral pattern that deviates from what is typically observed in adopted children.
I think it happened because they had two boys, and one of the boys, me and him were really close, so we like wrestled almost, but I landed on his arm wrong, so the mom thought I was trying to break his arm. So then that's when she was like, I can't do this anymore.
It has been noted by others that the film Orphan was released a year prior to Kristine and Michael Barnett's adoption of Natalia. Some have drawn parallels between the chilling plot of the movie and the Barnett's extraordinary claims. Orphan tells the story of a couple who adopt a seemingly innocent girl, only to discover that she is actually a grown woman suffering from a rare hormonal disorder, causing her to appear far younger than her actual age. She utilizes her youthful appearance to conceal her true age, leading to a series of disturbing events. Similarly, in the real-life scenario involving the Barnetts, they adopted a Ukraine girl, Natalia, in 2010. Initially, they believed they were welcoming a 6-year-old child into their home. However, they later alleged that Natalia was in fact an adult with a form of dwarfism, which gave her a deceptively younger appearance. They maintained that Natalia exhibited behaviors and medical conditions uncharacteristic of a child, and even claimed that she had made threats against their family. On one occasion, Natalia was arranged to have a playdate with a child who was supposedly of similar age and shared the same medical conditions as her. However, during the playdate, the parent of the other child noticed that Natalia appeared older than her child, both in terms of her demeanor and facial features. This observation provided Michael and Kristine with further confirmation of a significant disparity in Natalia's age. Years later, when the other child had reached adolescence, they stumbled upon pictures from the playdate and recognized that Natalia's appearance then closely resembled how the other child looked as a teenager. Another point of contention lies in the dispute over Natalia's age. Michael and Kristine argue that a doctor and a dentist both concluded that Natalia was older than what her birth certificate indicated. It is possible that the doctor and dentist are family friends or acquaintances of the couple, and may have been coerced into signing off on this conclusion regarding her age. Additionally, the dentist observed that Natalia's teeth appeared older, despite the existence of photographs showing her with what appeared to be baby teeth. On the contrary, while it may be a reach, there could be a potential explanation for her dental condition. She does have this bone growth disorder that primarily affects skeletal abnormalities, and while this condition wouldn't directly affect her teeth, hypothetically, if she had this other condition, which does affect both the teeth and bones, it could offer an explanation for why she has baby teeth if we are assuming that she is older. Kristine alleges that Natalia was undergoing her menstrual cycle, and she imposed upon Natalia the use of a tampon. Natalia, bewildered by Kristine's actions and the appearance of blood, experienced distress. Under the presumption of being merely a 6-year-old, such an experience could be exceedingly traumatic, with the blood potentially being a result of the forceful imposition Kristine subjected her to. Meanwhile, Natalia's current family with whom she resides asserts to this day that she still has not experienced her menstrual cycle. Michael and Kristine claim that Natalia possesses knowledge beyond her years. They are confident that she is capable of taking care of herself, as evident by their decision to leave her behind in the house. From their perspective, Natalia exhibited this knowledge even before they adopted her. They attributed this to her innate abilities or prior life experiences. Contradicting this viewpoint, Natalia asserts that Kristine had been actively teaching her how to live independently, preparing her for a future where she would have to fend for herself. She believes that Kristine had always intended for her to be on her own at some point. The perspectives of Michael and Kristine diverge significantly from Natalia's account. They recall threatening behaviors, question her age based on medical opinions, and assert that Natalia possessed advanced knowledge. Natalia, on the other hand, denies any threatening actions and attributes her knowledge to Kristine's teaching and preparation for independence. Regarding the narrative surrounding the alleged incident involving an electric fence and Kristine being thrown into it, it is essential to note the stark contrast between Michael's account and Natalia's account. Their differing versions shed light on the significant disparity in their perceptions of the events that transpired during Natalia's time with the Barnetts. We will now explore Natalia's first-hand recollection of the event, followed by Michael's potentially more embellished and dramatic retelling of the events.
So, Kristine had Michael and the boys go up ahead of us. She sat down next to me and was like, Natalia, you need to get up. So she got up and she was helping me, trying to help me get up, but I fell again and she fell with me. And the electric fence wasn't that far from us.
I turn and look. Natalia and Kristine are in a physical altercation. It looks like Natalia's trying to pull Kristine. Now, you might think, hey, she's a little person. How strong can she be? She uses her arms a lot, push herself up on things. She goes up the stairs using her arms. She's got guns that Schwarzenegger would be impressed with. She's very strong. My wife is frail. She's got a degenerative disease called lupus. She's weak. I start to go back. Kristine says, no, go. Okay. She wants my son to have his birthday. We go. And me and the boys double time it. We get a little bit farther down, and we hear the sirens. The second I heard the sirens, I thought Kristine was dead. I think she's dead. And the police have arrived, ambulances have arrived, and we can see Kristine is there.
Kristine's very angry, very upset.
Natalia's over with the EMTs. And Natalia had been trying to pull Kristine into the electric fence. She had been screaming out loud.
Kristine's screaming at them. She needs to be arrested. She tried to kill me. She needs to be arrested. She tried to kill me.
We wanted charges. We wanted her arrested. She admittedly, to their face, when they came to the 911 call, said, I'm trying to her. They made the distinction that their visual told them, hey, that's a little girl. She's not really trying, buddy. She's sick. We're going to take her to the hospital instead.
But they stated, we're not going to press charges. She's going to get a mental health evaluation.
Kristine and I said,
She has to go to a hospital long-term and get help. We didn't know how long. She can't come home until she's better.
when Natalia was in the state mental hospital, she was under 24/7 observation and care of 90 doctors, nurses, orderlies, therapists, etc. While she's there, she admits openly and freely that, yeah, I'm trying to keep her. And by the way, I'm going to tell you, doctors, and I'm going to write this in my journal, I'm going to kill the boys too.
Examining the situation from the psychological perspective, assuming Natalia was indeed just a young child at the time, the role of confirmation bias in Michael and Kristine Barnett's actions becomes significant. Confirmation bias is the tendency to interpret, seek out, and remember information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs. In the case of the Barnetts, the unexpected challenges of caring for a child with complex medical and emotional needs might have led them to subconsciously look for evidence supporting a narrative that would absolve them from their responsibility. They might have faced difficulties in adapting to Natalia's needs, which, coupled with the inherent challenges of raising a child with special needs, could have generated feelings of overwhelm, fear, or even regret. As they grappled with these emotions, they may have started to selectively focus on and interpret any signs of maturity in Natalia's behavior as evidence of her being older than her stated age. This could range from her well-spoken nature, signs of advanced cognitive or emotional development, or her handling of her physical condition and medical needs with relative independence. In essence, their underlying need for relief from the emotional and logistical burden of caring for Natalia might have influenced their perceptions, leading them to overemphasize signs of maturity and neglect, or rationalize indications of her childlike behaviors. This process could have culminated in their conviction that Natalia was an adult masquerading as a child, reinforcing their decision to disassociate from her and, in their view, justify their actions. Now, let's examine this situation from a psychological perspective, assuming Natalia was an adult posing as a child. It is merely speculation, but one possibility could be that Kristine relished the attention her prodigy son brought to the family, and adopting a child with disabilities might have served to enhance her public persona. However, when the reality of caring for Natalia became challenging, she might have felt overwhelmed. As her gifted son was preparing for a graduate program in Canada, Natalia's needs might have seemed like a hindrance to the family's progress. These factors could potentially have driven the couple to seek an escape from the commitments of their adoption. Now, let's examine the situation from a psychological perspective, assuming Natalia was an adult posing as a child. Her actions could have been interpreted as a survival mechanism, driven by both physical necessity and emotional needs. Firstly, her physical condition, characterized by a form of dwarfism and requiring multiple surgeries, would have made self-care and independent living extremely challenging. Pretending to be a child could have been a strategic move, knowing that an adoptive family would provide the necessary care and financial support for her medical needs. Emotionally, Natalia, having spent a long time in the system, might have been desperately craving for a sense of belonging and affection. Being adopted and accepted as a child within a family might have presented an opportunity to fulfill this deep-seated need for love and acceptance that was not met in her previous circumstances. It is also important to consider the potential impacts of prolonged institutionalization on her development and behavior. Institutionalized children often develop survival tactics, which might include manipulative behaviors, to get their needs met. If Natalia was an adult pretending to be a child, this could have been one such survival tactic developed as a result of her past experiences. After Michael and Kristine relocated to Canada, their once strong bond gradually disintegrated, leading to their unfortunate separation. Tragically, Michael now faces a series of charges, including neglect of a dependent and neglect of a dependent resulting in bodily injury, among others. Take note that these charges have nothing to do with her age, as Natalia's age was not allowed to be brought up in court, so their focus was neglect of a dependent, such as Natalia with a disability. With his trial looming, Michael candidly reveals the profound losses he has experienced and expresses his genuine fears of imprisonment.
Everything in my life once. If you were to show up here, right now, and you were to tell me that you've got my youngest son, Ethan, and my middle son, Wesley, in your car with you right now, and you were to tell me, Mr. Barnett, you can see him for 5 minutes. You can smile, you can hug your children. It's only for 5 minutes. But to do it, you need to cut your arm off. I'm not even gonna hesitate. Where's the machete? I will do anything if I can. Sorry, I'm gonna get upset. Hang on. When this first started, every single night that I lied awake, I would be picturing every single second in jail. I'd be going through everything I'd ever heard of jail. I'd be Googling, hey, what's jail really like, and reading the horror stories. What is at risk? Everything. Everything.
Michael is in the throes of preparing for his impending trial. We will see him meticulously refine his courtroom demeanor, embodying what he believes to be the most effective presentation of himself, in a fashion akin to his previous interviews. His facial reactions are rehearsed and deliberate.
So as I'm sitting there facial expression-wise, so obviously not a super happy smile. I'm not happy to be in court.
No.
It's also not mad, not upset. It's just the truth of the matter. I'm an innocent person being reviewed and judged. So,
Yeah. And
Michael was found not guilty on all counts, and Kristine's charges were dropped. There was evidence uncovered that was not allowed to be shown in court due to the statute of limitations. The evidence that the prosecutors wanted to show in court was the discovery of Natalia's biological mom and DNA confirmation that this was in fact her birth mother. With this confirmed, they were confident Natalia was born in 2003, making her a child when she was in her adoptive parents' care. The Barnetts amassed a series of evidence that substantiated their allegations that Natalia was, in fact, an adult. Their evidence consisted of testimonies from various doctors and hospitals who had observed Natalia's behavior and medical conditions. Reports suggested that Natalia had attempted to set her apartment on fire and was notably disruptive during her hospital admissions. The Barnetts claimed to have confirmations from medical professionals who recalled Natalia's inconsistent statements regarding her age. It appeared that she would alternate between asserting her adulthood and maintaining the pretense of being a child. Presumably, she had concerns about being deported back to Ukraine, which led her to confide in her therapist about these fears. This evidence collection, while controversial, painted a complex picture of Natalia's age and identity. Over the years, Natalia's age has been estimated to be a variety of ages, all falling under the age of 18, which categorically would still classify her as a minor. The sole determinant that classified her as an adult was a court order. Medical records from June 2010 indicated her age to be roughly 8 years old. However, in 2012, a bone density test suggested she was around 11 years old, not 8 as previously thought. That same year, the Barnett's family doctor suggested that Natalia's bone and dental development were more indicative of a 14-year-old, contradicting her presumed age of 8. In an unexpected turn, the couple took further steps by legally altering Natalia's age to 22, leaping several years ahead in a single bound. It is intriguing to contemplate the stark contrast between Michael's previous interviews, where he carefully crafted his sentences and made conscious efforts to sound articulate, and now his current interview where he employs slang such as ain't and repeatedly uses the phrase absolutely positively in rapid succession. This could be seen as an attempt to overcompensate for his agreement with the interviewer's propositions. It's worth noting that the earlier interviews in the video took place prior to the court dates, whereas the current interview is after his court appearances. It is highly likely that Michael extensively rehearsed his previous interviews to ensure that his story could be precisely portrayed on public platforms in a manner favorable to him and his family before the court proceedings. However, now that he has been acquitted, he appears to be less concerned about presenting a specific narrative that portrays him and his family in a positive light.
As an adoptive father, did you ever love her?
Yes, absolutely I did.
And do you love her now?
No.
So my question is this: if you thought she was one age, but she turned out to be the other, but you loved her, then why did her age matter? If I think my son is 14, but I later find out he's 24,
Yeah.
he's still my son and
Absolutely,
I still love him.
positively, you still do. But if that was the one and only little breadcrumb or nugget, absolutely, positively. But when you realize that just simply the age being different or incorrect is just the tip of the iceberg, but it ain't the age that would cause somebody to lose love with somebody, as you so eloquently said, that's not why I would say I don't love her today. It's been 10 years since we were together, and there was a lot of things that, again, unfortunately, due to the gag order I can't talk about, that would have caused feelings to change.
The element of neighborhood interviews about Natalia further adds an intriguing layer to this saga. Some neighbors have relayed instances and anecdotes concerning Natalia that they didn't directly witness, but rather heard from Michael and Kristine Barnett. This echoes the couple's narrative, reinforcing their perspective in a public forum. If we consider the possibility that the couple may have been in the wrong, this could be interpreted as a strategic move on their part. By shaping the narrative about Natalia in the minds of their neighbors, they could potentially have been preemptively influencing their witnesses, aware that their accounts might later serve to substantiate their story. This maneuver subtly illustrates the power of narrative control and the impact it can have on perceived truth within a community context. The Natalia Barnett case is a complex tapestry of assertions, contradictions, and mysteries. Given its intricacies and the differing narratives presented by all involved, it's difficult to assert a definitive opinion about what the truth might be. It's important to acknowledge that any conclusions drawn without comprehensive, concrete evidence are merely speculative. The quest for truth in this case continues, underscoring the multifaceted and challenging nature of this situation. Did Michael and Kristine really adopt an adult? Or was Natalia truly a child? Do you think age should have mattered in the case of neglect, given her disabilities? We want to give a huge thank you to everyone over on Patreon. We want to give a big shout out to Nexus, Big Pepperoni Pizza, Chrissy R, Catherine D, Tony S, and Tiffany D. If you would like access to ad-free and uncensored versions of all Wicked videos, feel free to join our Patreon. Link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and join us next time when we explore the psychological maze of some of the most wicked people.